because there was no known cure for it. You ever notice how in every generation there's this disease that there's no cure for? Let's go back in the day with some of y'all here. How many in, what name something, huh? Something, anything. Polio, okay, what else? AIDS, what else? Chicken pox, measles. What else? I don't forgot about the coronavirus that quick. Oh. You forgot about you? Okay, so now I'm speeding it up today. Now I'm speeding it up to today. COVID-19, Demeek's on board with us now. He gonna get me straight while I got the mic. But listen, COVID-19, that's a disease that, you ever notice that when they come up with these diseases that man couldn't cure the disease, Jesus just allowed the disease to fade away. When's the last time you heard about somebody with smallpox? When's the last time you heard about somebody with polio? When's the last time you heard about COVID-19? Still here, but how often do we hear about it? It was late breaking news on the, it was late breaking news. You heard it on everything. But we find here that with dealing with this thing called leprosy, during its time frame, the word leprosy was a Greek word called lepros, or some people will call it leprose, or some people will call it lepre. And this is according to the Strong's Advanced Dictionary. If you were to look in the concordance there, you would find in section 30.14 or 30.15, you would find that it has the breakdown of it, which it means leprous, or leprose means scaly. And leprosy was known as this chronic infectious disease that was caused by a microbacterium leprae. And what it does is it affects the body's peripheral nerves, and it becomes this exterior growth that develops on the skin that is filled with pus. Somebody say, ew. I'm just trying to paint a picture of how this man came to Jesus. So we find that this particular disease, this strand of it, was first noticed in Leviticus chapter number 13. And in this you find, according to the Old Testament scripture, it says that anyone who suffered with this disease was considered to be ritually labeled by the priest as being unclean. And at that point, the priest would banish them from their home. He would banish them from their family. He would banish them from their communities. He would banish them from their church, and he sent them to live in a community with others who had the same disease as they had, and they would have to stay there until they were either healed or until they died. I don't mean to be funny, but it kind of sounds like church folks today. I call them overachiever believers is what I call them. And I call them that is because if you don't change your lifestyle quick enough for their judgmental attitudes, and you are considered to be ritually unclean to them, and then they force you out of the church, back out into the world that you came from, and then they quarantine you or segregate you with other non-believers until you die. I'm so sick of traditional saints that they want to judge you because of the way you smell and because of what you have on. And God told me and Pastor Ryan to create a safe haven where you can come as you are. I'm not going to let you stay as you are because I love you too much. But I understand I got to let you come as you are because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I hear so many churches say, well, they're only growing so fast because they let them come anywhere. What do you think Jesus did? And he had great multitudes. Marlene, they told me, if it grows fast, it won't last. We 3 years into it and the crowd is still growing. Why? Because the love of God is in this place. It's of no goodness of my own. It's of no goodness of my wife's. It's only because the love of Jesus Christ. They send people back out in the world because they want them to struggle with the same thing that they've always struggled with. Y'all my goodness. This is really messing with me because I've been to churches myself before God blessed me and caused me to clean my act up and get things together. And I walked into churches and some of them will say, what are you doing here? And I thought the same thing you're doing here, but then I said, no, because I'm here to keep it real and you're not. Anybody ever been forced to quarantine? Anybody ever been forced to quarantine? I'm not talking about the COVID-19 because I know that Rodney had it probably 36 times. Yeah. Rodney broke the record. If there's a record, if the Guinness Book of World Records has a COVID record, every time we looked around, Melissa, where Rodney? He got COVID again. He got it again. He got it again. I said, again? And then I call him up. Hey, how you doing, Reb? I'm okay. I'm like, good Lord. But we laugh about it now, but there's some people who didn't make it through one bout with COVID. Oh, but because there was still purpose, because there was still destiny, because there was still an unfulfilled assignment over your life, because there was a little girl that would need you to take her to a daddy-daughter dance at her school, because there was still ministry inside of you, Rodney, you're still alive today. Not only are you still alive, you no longer have to quarantine. Somebody shout, Jesus will. Have you ever been forced to quarantine? Somebody shout, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Now, I asked you if you've ever been forced to quarantine. Now I'm going to ask, has anybody voluntarily quarantined? Has anybody ever voluntarily quarantined? Woo, my goodness. Let me see if I can break that down and maybe explain it a little bit, Todd. See, there are certain things, whether it be sins or what have you, whether it be an uncomfortable feeling or whatever it may be, you can fill in the blank yourself. But typically it's because of sin, and sin will cause you to quarantine. Sin will cause you to hide out. Sin will cause you to stay away. I remember back in the day, PK, you know, we used to smoke crack, and Craig, you hit that pipe a couple of times too. Don't act like you didn't. But see what it would do is when you would get. Y'all ain't gonna have me out here by myself. Pastor Ryan preached a message saying, "You are not alone. I'm not alone." I could point out some more of y'all in here. She talking about she didn't mean it like that. No, you said I'm not alone. But you talking about voluntarily quarantining? You hit that crack pipe and then every blind in the house gets closed. And every now and again you see this. Woo, check the date. I tell Kenny, get away from that window. Hermie, come out of the closet. Hermie in the closet trying on my shoes. Well, you get out the. I go in there. He got a shoe in his hand. What are you doing? Oh, I put a piece in there. Come on, bruh. Okay, that's enough. Woo-wee. But look at us now. I see Hermie in the house of the Lord. I see Kenny in the house of the Lord. I see Craig in the house of the Lord. And it's of no goodness of our own. It's only because Jesus will. And get this, y'all. While I'm out here on a limb, I seen Deacon Michael sneak back around the corner. It might not have been that crack, but he was hiding out on that weed. He puffed, and he wasn't passing, I guarantee you that. Oh, but I'm here to tell you that on Tuesday, coming up, April 16th, is Greg's 1-year anniversary of his sobriety. Somebody shout, Jesus will. And now that I've successfully thrown everybody underneath the bus, what happens is we find ourselves, Deacon Tim, we find ourselves settling for less. Hear me, y'all. Please hear me, y'all. We find ourselves settling for less because we allow people and we allow situations to limit us and to isolate us. What do you mean, Pastor? Well, here's what I mean by this. This man, this leper, he was told that he had to isolate himself. He was told that he had to quarantine. He was told that he didn't fit in. He was told that he wasn't as good as everybody else. This man was told that he had to segregate himself. This man was told that he had to play the hand that he was dealt. This man was told that you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. This man was told that if life hands you a lemon, start making lemonade. But I disagree with that. And so did this man in the scripture. Because this man who had an issue, anybody in here have an issue? Well, I love these. I love y'all. Y'all keep it real. For those of y'all who don't know what an issue is anything that's standing in the way of you and God. An issue is anything that's standing in the way of you and your healing. An issue is anything that is standing in the way of you and your deliverance. An issue is anything that is standing in the midst of you and your breakthrough. An issue is anything that is standing in the midst of your prosperity. An issue is, I don't know, you fill in the blank. What is your issue? What is your issue? What is holding you back? What is stopping you from getting what God has for you? What is stopping you and blocking your blessing? What is blocking your gifting? What is blocking what God has for you? What is blocking it? I recommend you check yourself before you wreck yourself. But Edward, when this man finally came to his senses, I feel like somebody's going to finally come to their senses today. When this man finally came to his senses, when this man finally said enough was enough, when this man finally decided that he wasn't going to wait for his change to come to him, but that he was going to go to his change, when this man finally that he wasn't going to wait for his deliverance to come to him, but he was going to go to the deliverer. When this man finally came to the conclusion that he wasn't going to wait for his healing to come to him, but he was going to go to the healer. When this man finally decided that he wasn't going to just sit there and die, but he was going to go to the giver of life. And Tracy, when he did this, he went to the right one. He went to Jesus, and at that point he asked Jesus, he said, I know you can, but the question is, are you willing to heal me? Brother Mario, what happened at that point is that Jesus reached out. Jesus reached out and he touched him. Y'all don't understand. The man was looking for healing, and Jesus reached out and he touched him. I'm reminded of a place in the Bible where the woman went, she reached out and touched. She reached out and touched the hem of his garment. But in this case here, Jesus reached out and touched him. He didn't touch Jesus. He wasn't allowed to touch Jesus because of what society thought. He wasn't allowed to get close enough to Jesus because of what people told him. He wasn't allowed to get close enough to Jesus because the church folk pushed him away. But so then Jesus reached out and he touched him. So in other words, guess what? Jesus didn't worry about what anybody else had to say. Jesus didn't worry about what anybody else thought. Jesus didn't turn his nose at him like some of these believers, overachiever believers do today. But what Jesus did was Jesus reached out and touched him. Is there anybody in here who is thankful that Jesus reached out and touched you? I'm glad he touched me. I'm glad he reached out and touched me. I'm glad he loved me enough to reach out and touch me. Elder Gene, I'm going to close this thing down, but listen. I began to look at this. I began to look at this natural experience, this account in the Bible. I begin to look at this natural. What do you pass it around? You got candy? Can I have one, please? Yeah. I want all y'all out there to see. This is Deacon Ford passing out candy in the middle of my sermon. Sugar-free. But he said it's sugar-free. I don't want it then. I got to have my sugar, y'all. Listen, as I begin to, I'm sorry. Nate Dog, I'm sorry, bro. Nate said, this man crazy. But listen, as I begin to look at this natural experience, I begin to look at it through my spiritual goggles. And at that point, I realized that sin itself is also an incurable disease. And it's a disease that we all have. And with this dreaded disease, much like the man here in this passage, there is no human doctor that can cure it. There is no human therapist that can fix it. There is no human psychologist that can talk me out of it. There is no teacher and there is no preacher who can deliver us from it. But the only one whose healing touch can miraculously take away our sin and can restore us to rightful living is Jesus Christ himself. But Derek, get this, just like the man in this passage with leprosy, we too must realize our inability to cure ourselves. It's a risk. It's awful risky. But I can't cure myself. I tried it and it didn't work. I did it my way and it didn't satisfy me. So when I realized that I had an inability to cure myself, in the passage, if you notice here, that the man came to Jesus and the man was not looking for a handout. The man was looking for a cure. Too many people look for handouts instead of looking for a cure. I'm here to tell you, Rick, get this. If I give you a fish, you can eat for a day. If I teach you how to fish, you can eat for a lifetime. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm looking for a cure. And I don't know about you. Stand to your feet. I don't know about you. But I'm at a place in my life right now where, God, I'm not looking for a handout. I've already seen what your hand can do. I already know your abilities. Because what you did for my brother, you could do for me. How about I go even make it more personal? What you did for me before, I know you could do for me again. Your Bible says, your word says that you are God and you change not. So God, I'm not looking for another handout. I no longer just want your hand, God, I want your heart. I don't want your hand. God, I want your heart. David said in Psalms 51:10, he said, Lord, create in me a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within me. I'm not looking for your hand, God. I'm looking for your heart. But one thing that I realize is the only way I'm going to get there is I first have to check myself before I wreck myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Somebody in here right now says that I have been checking myself. I have been evaluating myself. I have been examining myself. I have been looking at the man in the mirror, and I've decided that enough is enough. I've run long enough, and I know that God has been pulling and tugging on my heartstrings, and this time, instead of me running away from him, this time I'm going to answer the call. I'm not going to send God the voicemail this time. Y'all know how y'all double click on that. For those of you who double click on that, you should wait, let it ring a few times before you do it, because otherwise I know you instantly just decline my call. I just want to share that with you, Rodney, because I know you're busy at work, but let it ring 3 times and then decline my call. It doesn't make it so obvious. Some of y'all are one-clicking God right away. And I'm asking you to let your heart be pliable enough to say, God, I'm going to listen to you. God, I'm not going to send you to voicemail this time. God, I know your word says that the day you hear my voice, harden not your heart. I'm not going to harden my heart this time. I'm going to answer your call because I know that what you have for me is better than what I have for myself. So this time I'm going to check myself before I wreck myself. Honesty, come here, baby. Where your daddy at? I thought I seen your daddy walking here. Come here, baby. Come here, man. I ain't going to have your baby up here without you up here. This is Honesty, everybody. Her name is Honesty. What a name. What a name. This baby came to me on Wednesday. Did any of y'all here on Wednesday hear her testify? There were a lot of people who were testifying, and she sat there quietly and just listened. And although she's so innocent looking and she just looks so calm, she's got this spirit of a warrior inside of her. And so as I was watching her, and she began to build more and more confidence in God and confidence in who she was, I said, are there any more? Her hand went up instantly, and she said, I want to testify, and I just want to thank God because of what he's doing in my life. I want to thank God because, and she went on and on and on and on, and it just blessed us. She came to me after the service and said, Pastor E, I want to fully give myself to Christ. I thought of this passage where the one who was unclean came and said, I want to change my life. She said, I want to be baptized in Jesus' name. And the beautiful thing is you are acting out of obedience towards God. And just your yes was not for you. You thought you were just doing it for you. Your yes is for everyone else who's going to be affected by your decision. You thought you were just here today because you wanted to support your daughter. The love you have for your kids is out of this world. You know, the thing is, you don't always, because of circumstances, let it out. I'm telling you, you're in your safe place. The love you have for your baby, because of circumstance, you don't even all the time get to show it the way you want to show it. You carry her in the bosom of your heart at all times. And you question God and ask God what you did wrong and what you should have done different. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the way it works. Stop beating up on yourself, because God has a purpose and God has a plan for you. But you got to declare that enough is enough. God wanted you here today to hear the message, check yourself. God has so much for you. In your quiet moments, you ask God, why? Why did you let this happen? Why did you let that happen? Why? And God is saying that it's a part of his perfect plan to lead you broken to him, where he can begin to put the pieces of you back together so that you can be the warrior, so that you can be what he called you to be. I look at your hand. That right there is a sign that you come bruised to the bone. The very skeleton of me is on display. I love hurt. That's why I get hurt. People don't understand it. It's not for them to understand. God understands, and that's all that matters. And I promise you, young man, we've had a talk before. If you can dedicate yourself to Christ, He's going to turn your whole situation around. You want your babies with you? Give it to God. God is the only one that can do it. You can't do it on your own. But if you trust God, He'll make a way out of no way. Why? Because He's a way maker. He's a problem solver. He's a mind regulator. He's a heart fixer. Kendra, take her back there and prepare her. She wants to go down in the water in Jesus' name. The altar is open right now. The altar is open right now. If there's anybody who wants to come up here, if there's anybody who just needs prayer, Pastor Susan, if you could come up here, Elder Jean, if you could come up here. If there's anybody who is needing prayer right now, we're going to take a moment and you could come up here right front, and this man of God and this woman of God will lay hands on you. They will anoint you with oil, and they'll pray a prayer of faith on your behalf. Come right over here, Brian. Come right over here. I don't know if you realize it, but God is doing a work. God is calling somebody, and all He wants you to do is let somebody touch and agree with you. They're not going to pray a long prayer, but they're just going to pray and touch and agree, because God is the one who does the work. Come here. Come here. Let it out. Let it go. Let it go. I need somebody here. I need somebody here. I need somebody there. I think we got to have another. Definitely got to have another. Where are you? There was 50 people at that meeting and ain't but 2 people at the altar. Look at me. Hold your head up. Look at me. Look at me. I want you to look me dead in the eye. It's time to stop running. Don't hold that head down. Hold that head up. God created you as royalty. It's time to stop running. It's time to get in your rightful place. It was put in you as a child, and now it's time for it to come out. Enough is enough. God has been calling you. Answer the phone. God said you've been holding your head down long enough. It's time for you to look into the hills from which cometh your help. Your help comes from the Lord. Shenando correrese. Let them tears out. Those are tears of sorrow that are turning into tears of joy. Bible says weeping may endure for a night, but joy in the weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning, and it's morning. Good morning to you. Somebody shout good morning. Nate, you are a powerhouse. God didn't just send you here because you were invited here and you just said, okay, I'm going to come. God sent you here as a gentle, subtle reminder that you are a king, and God expects you to walk in kingdom authority. You know the way. It's time. Nate, are you hearing me? It's time. And you know that. God's already been telling you that. And you've been wondering, God, do you hear my prayer? God is taking a moment right here, right now to say, yes, Nate, I hear you. But he's asking, do you hear him? Wrap your arms around him. Wrap your arms around him. God said he's there that quick, and he's been holding you up all along. God been holding you up all along. God has been holding you up all along. You've been in a place where you've been questioning, are the things that I've been promised really going to come to pass? Did maybe I not hear you right? Oh, you heard him loud and clear. He's giving you business ideas. He's giving you so many different thoughts. He hears you. He's already blessed them. He's already made you an overachiever. But guess what? Only thing he's waiting on is for you to get close enough for him to reward you, for him to bless you, for him to. The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. Did you write the vision? Then make it plain. That means walk it out. That means make it happen. That means quit questioning it. That means quit saying, I don't have nothing but excuses. I don't have the money. I don't have the No, you do have the resources. If you give it to God, and if it's in his will, he'll fit the bill. Yeah.
Did we get everybody? Did we get everybody? We're getting ready to leave this place. But the presence of the Lord is here. 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 And with him is the fullness of joy. How amazing it is that you would come to the altar, nephew. As a friendly reminder, his baby shower is today at 2 o'clock. If y'all want to witness a miracle, if y'all want to witness a ministry being birthed, I guarantee you with the birthing of this child that's getting ready to come, eyes are getting ready to be open and you getting ready to run like never before. We're officially dismissed. Demeek also has invitations to his baby shower as well. We'll make this announcement again. I'm asking you as you get ready to leave, be careful with people. Everybody's fighting a battle. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's fighting to get over the trust issues. Everybody's fighting to let down their guard. Be careful with people. Because everybody you see is in the fight of their life. But the beautiful thing is, whether you believe it or not, you're winning. Y'all didn't hear me. Maybe you need to look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, you're winning. You're winning. This is what winning looks like. This is what winning looks like. This is what victory looks like. This is what overcoming looks like. This is what it 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 looks like. Tears in your eyes, but you can't quit. That's what winning looks like. Standing by yourself because people don't know how to hold your back the same way you've held theirs. This is what winning looks like. We want you to go about the rest of your week. We want you to be blessed. And while you are so blessed, please, please, please Be a blessing to somebody else. Y'all know why I'm going to say it? Because everybody wants to live a blessed lifestyle. We love you so much. We'll holler at you later. Peace.